Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to a world of laughter, learning, and entertainment. Hello, fellow enthusiasts. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of Gene Band. Gene were a British rock band that rose to prominence in the mid-ears. Formed in 1993, they were categorized by the UK music press as a Britpop band and often drew comparisons to the Smiths because of similarities to Morrissey in the demeanor and lyrical style of lead singer Martin Rossiter. Gene's music was influenced by The Jam, The Smiths, The Style Council and The Clash. In the next portion, we'll be immersing ourselves in the realm of the Go Hole and Spin and examining its broader implications. Gene's origins lie in a previous band which was first called the Go Hole, named after a fictional beat club in John Llewellyn Holmes' novel Go, and later renamed Spin when they became a four-piece. The band was formed in 1988 by Lee Clark vocal Schweeter and Daryl James Walton bass. However, their collaboration was short-lived as Walton was soon replaced by John Mason on bass, with Matt James joining soon afterwards on drums. Walton would take the role of band manager from this point on. Their first single, recorded in the same studios as the Ruts in a Rut, appeared on Walton's Big Pop record label. A John Peel session fueled their early success, where they mixed with the music and artistic community in Camberwell, mingling with members of the House of Love, My White Bedroom, and Vic Reeves and Bob Mortimer. Walton would organize and negotiate many of the group's gigs, contracts and press, especially later when they were a four-piece. After 18 months, Clark, Mason and James invited John's brother Steve Mason to play lead rhythm guitar and thereby freeing Clark to focus on vocals. Two singles, Scratches in the Sand and Let's Pretend, were released in 1990 and 1991 respectively, as an album had been recorded with Stephen Street as producer. Then, Spin were involved in a road accident. John Mason suffered a serious head injury and went into an 11-day coma. Walton was also hurt. The day prior to the accident, Clark had offered his resignation in a letter to the rest of the band due to his dissatisfaction with the way that Walton and their record label Foundation were guiding its course. The final straw for me, stated Clark, was calling the Spin album In Motion a play on word association which was so naff that it begged belief. A further EP, titled Hot Blood, was released in late 1991. The music press ceased to portray the band as new and vibrant, instead substituting headlines of road crashes and injuries, necessitating an overhaul of the band. John Mason, disappointed with the music business and his ideals of the Clash, crass and independence overlooked for the limited vision of those caught up in legal wrangling, went on to become a writer. Clark briefly recorded demos with Andrew Snake Newton, who had been the live sound engineer for Spin, then gave up music to become a primary school teacher. Clark felt he was increasingly too old to become a rock star and decided to play and record only in his own bedroom, and indeed returned to this after a hiatus of about 10 years. Wanting to continue together in a band, Steve Mason and James recruited bass player Kevin Miles, who had a long association with the band. After seeing Watford-based Welshman Martin Rossiter cross the floor of a club, Mason approached him and they began to talk. Their meeting ended with Rossiter handing out his business card Martin Rossiter, soothsayer to the stars, and Mason asking Rossiter if he would like to audition with the band. Rossiter appeared on Spin's last demos as Martin T. Falls, a nod to the Mancunian band The Fall shortly before the band decided to adopt the name Gene. Get ready to uncover the mysteries surrounding Breakthrough as we navigate its intriguing terrain. By the time NME journalists Keith Cameron and Roy Wilkinson encountered Gene, the band had already gained some live experience and written several songs. Cameron and Wilkinson were impressed enough to form independent record label Costamunder with the sole purpose of promoting Gene to a wider audience. Their double-sided debut single For the Dead Child's Body was released on Costamunder in May 1994. The single received a great deal of attention from the music press. Select named it Single of the Month, whilst NME made it their Single of the Week. The limited edition of 1,994 copies sold out in 2 days. Numerous live shows followed. Gene's performance in support of Pulp at London's The Forum was hailed by the NME as a breakthrough performance. Gene have just played third on the bill and willed the crowd into treating them like headliners who are very, very big indeed, said NME. He has made people love him, and now he's loving every minute of it. With Gene already developing a devoted fan following, a new single was planned to consolidate their popularity. The second single, a triple aside consisting of Be My Light, Be My Guide, This Is Not My Crime and I Can't Help Myself, was released on 1 August 1994 via Costumunda. Melody Maker awarded Be My Light, Be My Guide its Single of the Week. As we move forward, let's uncover the untold stories and fascinating intricacies of popular success. After achieving the top spot in the UK indie chart and number 54 in the UK singles chart, the band played their first UK headlining tour that included a show at London's Paradise Club which sold out immediately, with 800 people in the venue. The plaudits had not gone unnoticed by the big record companies, and Gene eventually signed a deal with Polydor Records. For many observers, this was to prove a turning point for the band. After a successful appearance at the Reading Festival, the band released their third single, Sleep Well Tonight, just prior to embarking on a large national tour, preceded by several sold-out French dates. Featuring strongly in both critics' and readers' end-of-year polls, Gene were the recipients of the inaugural NME Brat Award for Best New Act, and as such played at the sold-out Brat Awards ceremony at the London Astoria. They adorned the covers of both the NME and Melody Maker, who voted them their brightest hope for 1995. Their fourth single, Haunted by You, became the band's second top 40 hit, reaching number 32, whilst their debut LP Olympian reached number 8 in the UK albums chart following a plethora of excellent reviews. The album also gained Gene their first silver disc, recording sales of over 70,000 in the UK alone. And when the final single from the album was released, Olympian, it went into the top 20 of the UK singles chart. The summer and autumn of 1995 were spent touring the world, including a well-received performance at Glastonbury Festival, headlining Reading Festival, a tour of Japan and Europe, and then a foray into the US. With Christmas looming, the band entered the studio again for pre-production on their new album, scheduled for release the following year. 1996 began with a remix for The Dead, which subsequently became Gene's biggest hit, peaking at number 14 in the top 40, leading to their debut appearance on Top of the Pops. To See the Lights, an LP of rarities, live tracks, radio sessions, and acoustic versions of singles, was released in January and reached the number 11 spot in the album chart. A national tour was undertaken during most of the same month, culminating in 2 sell-out London shows at Shepherd's Bush Empire and the Astoria. In anticipation of their second studio LP, October 1996 saw the release of Fighting Fit, an up-tempo rock song which reached number 22. The start of 1997 heralded the release of We Could Be Kings, another epic rock song which again proved to be popular, reaching number 18. The LP Drawn to the Deep End 1997 takes its name from a Fighting Fit B-side, and it revealed a lavish production replete with strings, far more prominent guitar solos from Mason, and a rather wobbling vocal affectation from Rossiter. The album showed some measure of musical development from the band, which was reflected by the inclusion of a keyboardist in their live shows. Grand Drive's Julian Wilson, former Style Council keyboardist Mick Talbot, Marcus Brown, and Angie Pollock, and the fact that Rossiter was starting to master the art of singing live whilst playing the keyboard for some songs. Lyrically speaking, the dominating themes of the album were loneliness and deep yearning. Indeed, Rossiter was in the depths of depression during the making of the album, and the songs resulting from this period remain some of the band's most powerful work. Drawn to the Deep End was another critical success, with Q magazine awarding it 4 stars. Like its predecessor, the album entered the top 10 of the album chart, and subsequent singles, Where Are They Now?, and Speak to Me Someone both made the top 40 at 22 and 30 respectively. Arguably the defining moment of the band's career came in March 1997 when they played with a full orchestra to a sell-out audience at the Royal Albert Hall. Transmitted on Radio 1, the event was commemorated by the release of 2 live EPs in tandem with the last 2 singles from Drawn to the Deep End. They also played in Hong Kong that year as part of the festivities of the UX ceding the island back into Chinese hands. By late 1997, Rossiter in particular had gained some press attention in his newfound status as a minor celebrity. He had already appeared as a guest on Nevermind the Buzzcocks, and various articles speculated on his sexuality, much to Rossiter's bemusement. As he told Sorted magazine, "I've never hidden the fact that I've slept on both sides of the bed, and people find that very odd that I was quite happy to say, yeah, I'm bisexual and it doesn't really matter." He also hit the headlines due to a war of words between Rossiter and comedian Paul Kaye, which culminated in Rossiter headbutting Kaye in a nightclub. Now, let's shift our attention to Revelations and leaving Polydor. 1998 served as a fallow year for the band, used for writing new material as well as a few low-key shows and events such as radio's Sound City. In fact, the most newsworthy article about Gene during that year was of Martin Rossiter's drastic change in image. Gone were the suit jackets with white shirts and the floppy side-parted hair, in favor of the mod-like Fred Perry polo shirts, jeans, and a very short haircut. The new look was to be reflective of the band's rockier forthcoming studio LP, Revelations. On their return from relative wilderness, it appeared that Gene had lost a lot of their prestige during their year out of the limelight, and were no longer the golden boys of the indie scene. First off the LP, released in February 1999, was a jam-like political single called As Good As It Gets, which entered the charts at number 23 to lukewarm reviews. Revelations was released that March to very mixed reviews. The NME awarded it, concluding that the album was pretty thin on the ground. Revelations carries some political songs, such as the aforementioned As Good As It Gets, The British Disease and Mayday. Rossiter, who had an occasional political spot on BBC Radio 5 Live, launched a vitriolic critique of New Labour's first term in office. The album charted disappointingly at number 23, and the second single from the album, Fill Her Up, charted at number 37 that April. Despite a successful and comprehensive tour around the country, again selling out many venues, as well as making a successful appearance at the Reading Festival of that year, Gene and Polydor parted ways. The band felt somewhat undermined by their label's lack of support and failure to market the album adequately. As Rossiter explained, only when we got to Gretna Green did we realize that Polydor had disembarked at Crewe. Whilst the band made the best of Revelations' raw, live sound during the album's promotion, as well as the fact that the recording of the album took less than a month to complete, the marketing literature said it was in order to best convey the energy apparent from their live shows. After the split, they claimed that they could have made it a better album had they been given more time by their label. Get ready for a captivating exploration as we unravel the layers of artistic freedom and libertine and their profound significance. Despite the lack of the support of a major record label, Gene spent a good portion of 2000 touring the world, which climaxed in a sell-out tour of the US. One of their shows, at the Los Angeles venue Troubadour, was broadcast over the internet in what was then a record-breaking webcast, screened to at least 60,000 people worldwide. Only 2 months after the recording of that show, Gene released Rising for Sunset, a live album recorded from that Troubadour show. The webcast and album were promoted with a pioneering international internet-only campaign resulting in check units sold upon its universal release. As well as rehearsing the band's hits, they released 2 new tracks, Rising for Sunset and Somewhere in the World, promising songs that bode well for their next studio LP and marking a return to the romance of their more popular tracks. That album, entitled Libertine, was released in October 2001 on Gene's own label, Sub Rosa Records. Let's now turn our gaze towards Split and explore the fascinating connections it has to offer. Despite further successful live shows in subsequent years, including a set at the Morrissey curated Royal Festival Hall Meltdown Festival in June 2004, Gene opted for an amicable split later that year. Gene's last live performance was on 16 December 2004 at the London Astoria. The band members have all continued to work in music. Roy Wilkinson went on to manage the band British Sea Power, while Snake Newton went on to mix an assortment of acts including Duran Duran, Sugarwubs, Pet Shop Boys and Snow Patrol. In the third week of January 2008, all four members of Gene briefly took to the stage again for their ex-manager Jerry Smith's 50th birthday party. They performed 5 songs at the 100 Club in London: Be My Light, Be My Guide, For the Dead, Where Are They Now, London, Can You Wait, and Olympian. In this section, we'll be shedding light on Rissues and its impact on our understanding of the subject. In January 2014, all 4 studio albums plus To See the Lights were reissued in double-disc deluxe editions containing extra materials, demos, outtakes, radio versions and live. Drummer Matt James discussed the re-releases and the history of the band with UK music website The Mouth Magazine. Let's now shift our focus to studio albums and explore the ways in which it shapes our perspective. 1995 Olympian UK No. 8 1997 Drawn to the Deep End No. 8 1999 Revelations No. 25 2001 Libertine No. 92. In this section, we'll be exploring Live album. 2000 Rising for Sunset No. 118. With the groundwork laid, let's now examine compilation albums and its connections to our previous discussions. 1996 To See the Lights No. 11 2001 As Good As It Gets, The Best of 2006 The Collection 2006 The John Peel Sessions. Moving on to the next segment, we have singles. 1994 For the Dead Child's Body UK No. 86 1994 Be My Light, Be My Guide This Is Not My Crime I Can't Help Myself No. 54 1994 Sleep Well Tonight Sick, Sober and Sorry Her 15 Years No. 36 1995 Haunted by You Do You Want to Hear It From Me How Much for Love No. 32 1995 Be My Light, Be My Guide I Can't Help Myself 1995 Olympian I Can't Decide If She Really Loves Me To See the Lights No. 18 1995 Still Can't Find the Phone I Can't Decide If She Really Loves Me Don't Let Me Down Germany 1996 For the Dead Child's Body Sick, Sober and Sorry Did Helter Skelter June 7th, 1995 Reissue No. 14 1996 Fighting Fit Drawn to the Deep End Autumn Stone No. 22 1997 We Could Be Kings Dolce and Gabbana or Out Wasteland No. 17 1997 Where Are They Now? Cast Out in the 70s Night Swimming No. 22 1997 Speak to Me Someone As the Bruises Fade The Ship Song No. 30 1999 As Good As It Gets Toasting the Union Man on Earth No. 23 1999 Fill Her Up Pass On to Me Touched by the Hand of Havoc No. 36 2001 Is It Over? Supermarket Bomb Scar Little Diamond Who Said This Was the End? Did not chart 2001 Does He Have a Name? From Georgia to Soccer Welcome to Dover With Love in Mind Does He Have a Name? Promo 2004 Let Me Move On Is It Over? With Love in Mind If I'm a Friend No. 69. If you found this video helpful, give it a like and share it with someone who might benefit from it.